So Poplar Street, as a result of the single-family plat layout that you can see at the lower right, was going to curve a little bit to the west, come out, and then this preliminary plat was done prior to the adoption of the US 56 Corridor Management Plan, and so the plan during the preliminary plat time was for for Santa Fe Street to swing north a little bit to intersect Poplar Street and then come back down to eliminate the awkward intersection at the triangle. Looking up at the larger picture, you can see that the 56 Corridor Management Plan actually proposes taking away that stretch of US 56 highway and directing traffic through either Roundabout or up Waverly Road over to Santa Fe Street to continue in that direction. So this, because of the relocation of, or the realignment of Poplar Street that's proposed by this is a minor adjustment to that proposed plan. Oh, I did also want to point out in the text box here, the staff report stated that this would be discussed at the May 6th City Council meeting, and that has actually been changed. The council will be notified by memorandum instead of by discussing that at the meeting. Because of the proposed changes to the Poplar Street alignment, there's change to the Meadowbrook Rehabilitation Hospital's access. There are 3 options that have been sketched out by the applicant to show how that could work. The one that goes pretty close to what the 56 plan shows, which is in the middle, is it would have to be a right-in, right-out, which may be a concern to Meadowbrook, so that's something that we want to discuss a little bit more with them. But there are other options that would get them to full access where they could make lefts in and out as well, which are the ones that go to the east and the west, but that would be a little bit longer to do that. The criteria for considering applications, which are found in the Gardner Municipal Code in Chapter 18-185. In considering any application, this is for public hearing items, which include rezoning requests and conditional and special use permits. There's a list of criteria based on case law in the state of Kansas for making those types of decisions. And the first of those criteria is conformance of the proposed use to the community development plan and other adopted planning policies. As I mentioned, the existing zoning is actually what conforms more closely to the community development plan map. However, because the road alignment has changed and the idea at the time of the adoption of the community development plan map was to keep the residential more on the north and the commercial more on the south side of that road there at where the intersection is, staff doesn't feel that this is a significant conflict with the plan. The next items, character of the neighborhood, including land use zoning, density, architectural style, etc. Zoning and uses of nearby properties, suitability of the property, which has been restricted to under the zoning district regulations, length of time it's been vacant, extent that it would detrimentally affect nearby properties, and extent to which the proposed use would harm the value of nearby properties. As you can see from the image on the screen, there are single-family houses to the east and the west. Staff feels that the church would be compatible with those uses as it is allowed in the R1 single-family residential district, which is what most of the property is zoned. Incidentally, churches are also allowed in the commercial office or office building district. So the zoning that is there does allow churches. And then to the south, there are some small businesses, and this would be compatible with those as well. Then the extent to which the proposed use would affect capacity or safety of the road network, create excessive pollution, the economic impact of the use on the community, gain to public health, safety, and welfare versus hardship on the landowner if denied, and the recommendation of professional staff. The images that are on the screen right now are not part of the rezoning or the final plat. Those are actually from the site plan, which was approved at the March 5th Planning Commission meeting. However, that site plan is contingent upon approval of the final plat and the rezoning. So depending on how things go tonight, the site plan may or may not be valid. The image at the left shows the overall site plan. The three colored in the middle show sort of the phasing plan for the church. And then on the right side, you have the elevations and stuff for the criteria listed there does not see any significant barriers to approval of the rezoning, and does actually recommend approval that the Planning Commission forward the application with a recommendation for approval, no stipulations for the rezoning. And then on the final plat, recommend that the Planning Commission approves and forwards to the council with the recommendation to accept the easements and rights of way subject to the stipulations on the screen. So are there any questions for staff? Okay. The applicant is here. I'm not sure they have a presentation, but they are available for questions.
Any presentation? No? Okay.
No, we're here for you. If you've got any questions, we'll be happy to answer.
Amy, I'm sorry. I have a question. The construction of Poplar Street, I noticed in one of the comments that, or one of the paragraphs in the streets and access, that's not going to get built with this particular, with the first phase, I would say? Or is that going to be built?
If you look at the images in the middle there that show the phasing, the top one is the first phase.
Okay.
So it would not include any of Poplar Street. The second phase would include a portion of Poplar Street, and the third would include the rest of it.
Okay. That's what I wanted to make sure. I kind of saw that, but I was kind of taken aback as to what was happening there. So, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments before we open the public hearing? Okay, at this time, we will open the public hearing for, we will open the public hearing for Z13-01 First Light Church. Is it any member of the audience that would like to make a statement, have comments? If so, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. That being the case, how would the commission like to?
I move that we go ahead and close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Pop and seconded by Commissioner Copeland to close the public hearing for Z-1301 First Light Church. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? No? Okay. Do we now make a motion for this? Okay. Do we have any discussion now on the item before we would proceed to forward this?
I do.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and forward the request to rezone First Light Church, Z1301, to the City Council with a recommendation for approval with no stipulations.
Second.